So hi everyone, I'm with Titus Hafner, well known as LeDuck, coach for Millennium. Can you explain to us, because we don't know you a lot, how do you start in the esport world?
Initially, I started as a player. I was a support main in Season 2. I tried to qualify with CURSE.eu, or back then they were called LOL Pro. Unfortunately, we didn't make it, and after that I pretty much went away from player and transitioned into a coach role, starting with Copenhagen Wolves.
Why do you choose coach? Why does this statue attract you?
I always had sort of like this need to help people. Like I always wanted to support people, help them succeed. So that was kind of, I guess, a useful ability to have. I also like to think a lot about the game. Even when I was a player, I did all the pick and ban and the shot calling. So it was sort of like a fairly seamless transition into a job that was very needed because nobody was doing it.
Okay, people are actually talking a lot about coach. What is a good coach? What coach are used to? And for you, what is the role of a coach? What defines you as a good coach?
First step, we have to define coach, because it's probably the most misrepresented word, or whatever that word was called. It's a horrible term in the most cases, because if you draw a line between life coach and strategic coach, that's kind of where you draw the line. And the life coach is a person who usually doesn't know that much about the game. He's like more of a sports psychologist. He takes care of the players. He's like takes care of all the outside factors and their mentality. Strategic coach is usually the guy you send on stage who does the pick and ban, who does the analysis sessions, and who's much more of an analyst than an actual coach. So that's sort of like the terms, and obviously life coach needs very good personal skills. He needs to be good with people, and a strategic coach just needs to be a really smart guy who's good with data work and who has a very deep knowledge of the game.
Okay, you speak about life coach, and a lot of LCF team, especially top tier team, are picking some other coach than strategical coach, life coach, food coach, fitness coach, and etc. Do you think this kind of coach is useful in an e-sport team? Don't you think it's more adapted to a sports team? Maybe an esports team needs other kind of environment.
I think it's useful, but the strategic coach comes first, because a pick and ban can straight up decide games on a competitive level. But once you got all that area covered, you usually work with people who are like 17 and they can't cook, they can't do their laundry, they don't know how to, they only eat junk food, they don't know how to take care of themselves. So to help the players to succeed, I think it's very useful, especially if the team wants to be at the very top. You don't need a life coach if you just want to like survive in the LCS or anything, but if your goal is to compete at Worlds, it's definitely very useful to have one. Okay,
here you take words to Challenger Series team. You first coach Inspire, and then you end up to Millennium. That's right. And how do you choose the Millennium team? Was it just the only one available for coaching, or is that a team you already know and you know the players and you think they have great potential to maybe go through the LCS?
Truth to be told, I actually didn't intend to coach any team in the Challenger. I was just doing personal stuff in the meantime, but Pretty approached me. He said their old coach is not working out and they really need a new one. And for me, it was a short time period. So even like I didn't know the players really, I didn't know any of them. But for me, it was a worst case scenario. It's going to be a short trip. But now the team ended up being awesome. And now I get to play in the promotion tournament with them. So I'm really glad it worked out.
Yeah, you get to play the promotion tournament. You just 3-1 Huma. Was it an expected result? And what could Huma have done to take you more than one game?
Expected result, not necessarily. Well, we came here to win, so we expected to win, but the exact score, I mean, 3-1 is a fair assessment of the strength of both teams. So I think, like in that department, everything was all right. What Huma could have done different, one thing that struck me as very weird is that they choose red side 3 times, and I didn't agree with their side choices there at all. And usually what you can also do in a BO5 is that to make sure that you have the last game might be different, that you choose blue side if you have the first choice. And yeah, that they choose the blue side. But other than that, I feel I think the Ash Jinben, it was not bad from them, but we did expect it, and we did have strategies prepared for it. Arguably, they could have done it earlier if they wanted to, but then we probably would have just pulled out different strategies. So I had a very, very strong pick/ban prepared for the last game, and I'm very sad I didn't get to show it. But yeah, I don't think they could have done that much.
The players, you told it, are very organized compared to last played. A bit more organized. They do more strategical decisions. They do more swap lanes. Is it something you work with them as soon as you arrived in the gaming house? How do you teach people you barely know to understand such meta strategic as fast as you did?
Well, I did start with it right away. Like pretty much. I immediately noticed that there's flaws in regarding lane swaps and Nashor setups. We didn't have that much time, so there are still flaws remaining, but I do feel we made a lot of progress on that department. How do I teach this? Well, it's first up, you have to showcase them how important these types of things are, especially the Nashor setup, to close out the games properly. And it's pretty much just knowledge and repetition, I guess. You just have to get it into their brain, like what they have to do, which steps they have to reproduce, make it a pattern that they can repeat. The whole goal in the scrims is to replicate something you can do again and on the stage in the competitive game. And these types of patterns, this is what you really want to teach them.
Okay, you just said it. You are going to focus on the weakness you still have to face LCS team. The two teams who was mostly likely to be relegated are Rocat and Origin, we could say that. Do you have a preference? If you could choose the team you would have the chance to face in the up and down tournament, who would you choose and why?
First up, I would love to play against both. If we play Rocket, though, I'm pretty sure that means we lost the finals. So I'm just going to be greedy and say I want to face Origin right away. That means that we win against Misfits in the finals. But yeah, Rocket would obviously be the much easier teams because they have severe issues on their entire lineup. Origin is a little bit different. They have strong veteran players, but their team spirit is broken. So if you have a team that's extremely hungry to get into the LCS, like you can see with Misfits, this type of mentality is usually the deciding factor, even if you play against a veteran team. So I do think we have good chances against Origin. Okay,
you said it. Your next game is against Misfits. It's not an important date, but you decide the seed and the team you will play against. But how do you feel playing against them? They show great performance yesterday, and they are some monster team. What do you think about them? Do you think you can beat them? Maybe take one game.
So what's going to happen against Misfits is Misfits has an insane amount of aggression. I don't actually think they're that strong on the strategic side, but they're insanely talented, mechanical, and in coordination and in team fights. So the important part is that we pick strong, the game is most likely going to develop in a way where we have to answer to the aggression of Misfits because we don't play as aggressive as they do. But I feel if we manage to outplay them, if we manage to answer their early aggression correctly, this might turn things very ugly for Misfits because, especially when you see the first game we played in week 5 against Challenger Series, I really feel if we had a tiny bit more work for the Nashor setup and to get everybody on the same page, I think we could have won the first game against Misfits, and this is the type of game I want to see in the finals against them.
Okay, we want to see that kind of finals too. I'm going to let you go party with the team, and I say to you, congratulations again. Bye-bye everyone, we'll see you again for other interviews. Merci beaucoup. Parfait. Parfait, parfait. Thank you.